Hi there, I'm Jim Zirin. Welcome back for more Conversations in the Digital Age. We have a special treat in store for you. With us is Kelli O'Hara, star of the Broadway musical stage, a 6-time Tony Award nominee for her featured role in The Light in the Piazza in 2005, and lead roles in The Pajama Game, South Pacific, and The Bridges of Madison County. She won the prize Tony as Best Leading Actress in a Musical for her role as Anna in the 2015 revival of The King and I. As though the musical theater were not a dukedom large enough, Kelli has also appeared on the stage, screen, and television in straight dramatic roles, as well as making her debut at the Metropolitan Opera in Lehar's The Merry Widow. As is self-evident from her enormous body of work, she's an artist of tremendous range. Kelli O'Hara, I'm delighted to welcome you to the program.
I'm delighted to be here.
Now, you hail, Kelli, from a small town in Oklahoma.
That's right.
And Elk City, it's population about 13,000. Looking over your credits, which are so very rich, I didn't see Laurie in Oklahoma. Is there some reason for that?
No, I'm sorry I left that. I did play it. I finally played it once in 2007 for
wow.
For the 100th birthday of our state. Went back home and did that. Mm-hmm.
Ah, marvelous. Well, I'm glad to see that you paid Oklahoma its due. Now, did you grow up loving musicals?
I did. Not on the stage, though, because we didn't have a lot of theaters there. So in the movie musicals were my big thing.
Movie musicals?
Movie musicals.
And were you ever trained as an operatic singer?
I was. That's what I have. My college degree is in opera.
In opera?
Yes.
And was there a particular teacher there you studied with?
Absolutely. Her name is Florence Birdwell.
Florence Birdwell. And this is at Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma City University.
Oklahoma City University.
Yeah.
And so is it different being an opera singer from being a singer on the musical stage?
There are a lot of differences. The kind of music I sing on the musical theater stage is a version of it, in my opinion. I don't do a lot of pop rock or anything like that, so I stay in the kind of the classic vein. But yeah, and there's just a difference in type, style, you know, the technique of it all. So it's all good. It just we're mic'd on Broadway. We have no mics at the Met. There's a different use of your body. But I try to sing, my teacher always taught me to sing with one voice in the same way every time, but there are honestly a lot of differences.
Did you formally study acting?
Yes, I did. I studied at Strasberg here in New York City.
At the Lee Strasberg
Institute, yes.
Yes. Is there a special technique that goes into acting in a musical?
You know, there's a special technique in every genre of acting. I think you kind of have to know the part you're playing, know the story, the type of thing you're doing. There's definitely there's an elevation of musical theater than I would say from a contemporary person right here on television, say, or doing a straight play, because one has to lead into a song. So there is a difference. I try not to think of it any less honestly in whatever genre I'm acting. I want the person to be identifiable and personable and so human.
Now, you've played so many roles at Lincoln Center Theater. How has Lincoln Center Theater figured in your career?
You know, I don't think I went after it. The luck of that has been one of the biggest parts of my life, having fallen into that. Light in the Piazza was the first thing that took me there. And then we had South Pacific and The King and I, and they've been my family, really. It's been a home. I think of that whole building as a home, a second home. The people that work there are family members. It's been an amazing, probably almost 15-year journey at Lincoln Center.
Okay, so you're on stage in a musical and you have to perform. You have to perform, and you perform beautifully 8 times a week. What does that do to your lifestyle? That must be very, very hard work.
You know, I think everything becomes habitual and comfortable. I did 8 shows a week for probably 20 years. I've been doing it. I will do it again. There's something special about it that makes your life makes sense somehow. And when you don't have it, it can be a little addictive and you can miss it a lot. It's very busy. The rehearsal processes, which are my favorite part of it, are long days. But the running of the show, you have to remember we have our days free. It's only really about 3 or 4 hours of your day in the evening. I missed a lot of dinners, but I've missed a lot of bath times and bedtimes with my kids. But I've also had a lot of things that other working moms don't.
Now, Kelli, you are an actor who really projects tremendous emotion, beautiful emotion, and I can't forget your acceptance speech when you won your Tony, because it was really iconic. So let's watch and see what you said.
Okay. Thank you with all of my heart. I'm going to take a deep breath, and you'd think that I would have written something down by now, but I haven't. I wouldn't allow myself to do that, but I will say this. I love what I do. And I don't need this, but now that I have it, I've got some things to say. I come from a place far away, but there's a little teacher there, and 2 of us tonight, Kristen and I, share her. Florence Birdwell, thank you for that. The other women, yes, Florence, thank you. The other women in my category, a legend, future legends. I am so proud to be part of you, part of your air tonight. My parents, who are sitting next to me for the 6th time, you don't have to pretend, it's okay this time. And thank you for giving me roots, for Florence Birdwell for giving me wings, Bart Sher for teaching me how to fly, Lincoln Center for being my home for the last 10 years off and on, thank you so much. For the King and I, all of my beautiful cast and crew, you're such beautiful, proud people on that stage and off stage. I'm so happy to be there. My king, Ken Watanabe, you are the king, my king. I'll be back, maybe not up here, but I'll be on the theater stage. I'm gonna do the worm.
Now, you said I don't need this. You said I don't need this. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think we would all, wanting is a different thing than need. Of course it felt great. I'm still emotional about watching it. I haven't watched it in a long time. I wouldn't need it to keep working. I wouldn't need it to keep getting myself back up there and working and doing art. I mean, that's not the point of it, but it feels really good to be, I guess, whatever that horrible word validated is,
Good to be the king.
No, for 2 seconds. Let me remind you, 2 seconds and then it's over. And that's the important thing to remember is that it's a little gift and you get to have it for a moment and then you got to move on.
Now, you acknowledge many people, and we left out the wonderful guy you're married to, whom you really acknowledge, but you acknowledged twice in the course of your acceptance speech Bart Sher, who was your director, and you said he made you fly. What did you mean by that?
That made me emotional, I'm sorry. Bart, I met Bart at an early age, I was very green and had a lot to learn. And Bart talked to me about Shakespeare, Bart talked to me about honesty, Bart talked to me about the meat of a role, history, and I learned a language with him early on during Light in the Piazza, not even on Broadway, but in Seattle when we were starting that show, that would carry me through to the next almost 15 years of trusting myself in a different way, being in the hands of someone who was very able and open to allow me to do that. And so I owe him so much. He's been, Florence Birdwell and Bart Sher have been my greatest teachers. And so I've just been incredibly blessed to have fallen into that space, just to be able to work with him for so long.
Well, he's a wonderful director. But you've done some original roles in musicals, Light in the Piazza, Bridges of Madison County, and then you've also done some celebrated roles. I call them iconic roles, Babe in Pajama Game, Nellie Forbush in South Pacific, Anna and the King and I. Is there a difference doing something that others have done that people remember seeing with their mothers, or
yes, there's not
something fresh,
right? There's a difference in performing it and having the response, because you do have that nostalgia. You have the people saying, I saw this with my grandparents or whatever it is, and they have that, they walk in the door with an already built up nostalgia. There's pressure there to remain constant and pay homage to those things that they remember. But doing the role itself, I've always tried to treat it the same. These are people, I try not to go back and look at the old material if it's a revival. If it's a new revival, it's the same thing. It's the material that's in front of me. It's my take on that material. It's what I can bring personally to that material to make this person honest and true and relatable. And so I try not to look at these roles any differently between a revival and a new one.
Let's take, for example, Gertrude Lawrence, who did Anna in The King and I, perhaps her best remembered role, although she was also a Broadway actress. But the critics said she had limited vocal range and she tended to sing flat. Now, that's not you. You have a beautiful voice, but did you ever compare yourself? Did you watch the old clips of Gertrude Lawrence?
You know, I'll fully admit I never watched them. I just couldn't do that because it really wouldn't have served me and our production. We were trying to make something for a 2015 audience. We were trying to make a better reason to do it all over again. And so I often play roles that were written for women who weren't necessarily singers, or at least that's what I'm told. And so there is a struggle there for me to not have much of a range to sing in, but the character is meaty. And so sometimes you can't have it all, but there have definitely been roles where I can. But sometimes that's frustrating, where I want to hit the big high note, but it's not written there, and I can't change it because it's a revival and it's set in stone. But then I find the great challenge of making whatever I'm given purposeful, and find a reason for not hitting a big note, but really staying true inside the lower one, you know. So there's a use, and Bart has taught me a lot about that. There's a use for everything, and sometimes when you can't change it, it's actually the best gift.
Now, you've also hit the high notes in the arms of some celebrated actors, Harry Connick Jr. and Pablo Zott and Ken Watanabe, and just to name a few. Is there one in particular that you find it easiest to work with?
I have worked with some of the kindest, most generous, most fun leading men that anyone could ever ask for. There's a long list of them, and I really have just had a fun experience, and I've learned something different each time. You know, Harry was musically and artistically sort of genius, and that raised me, that elevated me, I think, and taught me so much. Ken was so true to his art form that I went inside that with him and found a deeper meaning to everything. Paolo was such a beautiful person, and such a generous and hardworking person who really needed to be a team, and that made me feel so important in our show, and it was a very heartfelt experience for me. It was deep. And so I've had different reasons to be incredibly in love with each man at each time that I was playing that in the show.
Well, these are all roles, as I see it, where there was a tremendous difference in background between the man and the woman. Were you conscious of that difference? In Pajama Game, there's a class difference.
Yeah.
In South Pacific resonates with the current issues of race,
yeah,
and of mixed race children, King and I, empowerment of women, education of women.
Absolutely.
Are you conscious of all these themes and tensions as you perform the role?
Absolutely, and deeply. And the absolute purpose of doing these shows again, these revivals, and hopefully new shows that will touch on the same subjects, is to continue this conversation that I can't believe we're still having. South Pacific felt very relevant in the time of electing Barack Obama as president, 2008. King and I felt extremely relevant at the time of a woman running for president. Nations reaching across nations, religious tension, racial tension. It's all that I can do sometimes to give myself fully into these subject matters, because I feel so frustrated in the reality of life that we're still having these conversations over and over again. And these musicals are being written, or plays or movies are being written to teach lessons. And I don't know what's happening, if we're only preaching to the choir or what, but I feel like we just have to continue on. And that's the reason for the season. That's the reason we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to keep doing it.
But how does an actor relate to roles such as these that are so different from his or her personal life? I mean, clearly you've never been drawn emotionally to the King of Siam.
That's true.
That's true. How do you put your head in a place where you can create that kind of chemistry?
I think you can substitute certain ideas that you feel very deeply about. I think for someone like Nellie Forbush, there was no substitution. There was an absolute knowledge of who she was. My grandmother and my great aunt, they all came from Arkansas. They were Little Rock, Arkansas girls. I love them deeply, and I also know the things they feel.
Were they Navy nurses?
They weren't Navy nurses, but they grew up in the same time. And I knew exactly what story I was telling and what changes need to be made. And, for someone like Anna, I could deeply identify with my hopes for equality for women, education for children, including girls, and cooperating, working together with entities that are unlike our own. I feel deeply passionate about those things, and I, as Kelli, may not have stepped into a world so deeply like Miss Anna in Thailand, can definitely observe and feel passionate about speaking out on those subjects and trying to make them more present.
And what about the tension of being drawn emotionally to a man who represents something that you really hate, either hate for better or hate for worse?
I don't think that's anything new. I think there's something in us that feels, even if it's not about race or religion or, politics, it can be as simple as, we fall in love with people that challenge us, we have friendships with those people because we want to learn. If you're a person who wants to learn, and then by learning, there's understanding, and by understanding, then there's cooperation and there's work, if both sides are amenable to it. And I think that we're still doing that in even small parts of our life. I think that was the most, we decided for the King and I that it wasn't necessarily a love story in the usual terms, but it was a love story in humanity and about understanding each other and falling deeply into the different passions that we each held, falling deeply into admiring each other, respecting each other, and what can come of that if we work together. And so I think that these things are all universal, really, and timeless.
Well, Anna, as you portrayed her, and I think as she's classically portrayed, was open to this sort of relationship. She was a teacher. But let's take Babe in Pajama Game. Yeah. She's the shop steward, and she falls in love with the personification of management.
Exactly. Exactly.
And she hates this, and yet she succumbs. Or even Nellie, who certainly there's some bigotry to her nature. And she falls in love with a Frenchman who has mixed-race children from another relationship. I mean, this is what she really hates. She's been brought up.
Yeah.
She's been taught to hate.
Absolutely.
And how does she overcome it? And as an actor, how do you portray it and overcome it?
Well, it's this thing I was talking about, truth and humanity, and I feel like none of us are one note. I mean, that would be the most boring part of the world. Maybe it would be easier, but none of us are one note. There is something underneath all of us that questions what we're doing, what we've been taught to believe. I don't think a lot of people listen to that inner voice sometimes. And if they do, that's humanity, that's real. Nellie, Anna, these women, if they reach down deep enough, there are things they just didn't know about. There's an ignorance there that once unlocked, once you're open to learn, you really discover things that you never did. It's just that you weren't given that chance before. There are a lot of people in the world that never meet a person who's different, never meet a person who has a different religion, never spend time with other people of different skin colors. You don't have to deal with anything if it's not in front of you, if you don't try. But when you do, if you do, I believe human nature inside all of us is a goodness. I want to believe that. That's the kind of person I am. That's how I was raised. And I believe that once educated about things, we start to feel differently.
And now, what about chemistry? I watched you with Ken Watanabe, and a complete suspension of the disbelief. There you were with him, the look in your eye, the look in his eye. How do you create that? How do you create that electricity?
It's my job, but I've never thought of it that way.
So you learn to do that in Oklahoma, or, or at least Strasbourg, or was this natural?
I don't know. I think what I just said, which is believing in the goodness of people and finding it down deep inside them, inside a character on the page as well. It's not just the person you're working with, but it's also the person that they are portraying that you need to believe in. But like I said, I've had really wonderful partners where it's easy to also look at the person and believe in what they're doing as a performer, as an actor, as a human being. I go deeply into that reality on stage. I need for that to be a true part of our story, and so to believe in the man and believe in the actor is very important to me. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm madly in love with this person off stage. That's not what I'm talking about. It's I'm madly in love with this character. I'm madly in love with the actor who's trying to do his best and look at that effort and look at that heart and look at that generosity, and I'm going to be fed by that and give it right back. Then the show ends, and then we go on with our lives. But for those 2 or 3 hours, that is our job, to believe in each other. And so believing in that actor is my job and my real thrill.
Well, let's take a look at you and Ken Watanabe believing in each other.
Okay.
We dance together. You show me. You teach. You teach.
Well, it's quite simple. The polka, you count 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Shall we dance?
1, 2, 3,
On a bright cloud of music, shall we fly?
1, 2, 3,
Shall we dance?
1, 2, 3,
Shall we then say goodnight and mean goodbye?
1, 2, 3, oh, perchance. When the last little star has left the sky.
Shall we still be together with our arms around each other? And shall you be mine, you romance? On the clear understanding that this kind of thing can happen.
Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Was it like this? No.
Yes.
Come.
Absolutely marvelous.
Thank you.
And so the way he looked at you and you looked at him, there was this joy, realization, and then there was the epiphany almost when you say, gosh, there's a connection here and I'm scared to death.
Yes. Well, you know how you feel when you feel someone commit to you? It's easier to commit. And that's how an actor feels with another actor who is fully comfortable and trusting.
And how are you able to combine these very, very serious themes with the bright, cheerful, uplifting music of Rodgers and Hammerstein?
There's something about joy in every pain. There's something about, you laugh when you're the most wrecked sometimes. I think there's just that juxtaposition is kind of what makes life go around. And so the beautiful joy in the Rodgers and Hammerstein scores with actually very, very deep and truthful lyrics and melodic lines, that's kind of what makes it work. You can't just live in one and have none of the other. And so it's always a little burst, a release, and then you dig deeper, and then you have a little release, and then you dig deeper. And I just, I've always tried to use that genius for what it is, and really kind of go full full force into each part of it.
Well, this is pure genius. And so I have a question for you, Kelli O'Hara. What does Kelli O'Hara do for an encore?
Oh, my goodness. Being with my children is very important to me right now. They're very small, 3 and 7. And in it, every day, it's like art. I think about what my voice needs to be doing next. Not my singing voice, but my voice, my personal voice, because I've done a lot of work that was joyous and fun, but I'm getting to an age where I want it to be meaningful, whatever I do. And so as I choose next, I will do another opera, because that will be for my voice. But for my voice, I need it to say something about something that means a great deal to me. And there are a few projects that are lined up that I want to choose wisely from, and I will.
My Fair Lady, maybe?
I think that ship has sailed. I'm sad about that. I feel like, Mary Martin was playing things well into her 40s. I feel like I love that role. I love that show, that score. But if that has sailed, that's okay. I got to do it once with the Philharmonic. And I think I'll know it when I see it.
Let's hope the ship comes back. Kelli O'Hara, thank you so much for coming by. This has been just marvelous. What a treat. And thank you for coming by. Tune in next week for more conversations in the digital age. I'm Jim Zirin. Take care and all the best.